Last week, the midway point for Hudepohl's TV King of Bowling, week number 6 at Harrison Bowl, Harrison, Ohio. That's Doug Henderson on the left against Steve Miner, and Henderson, first time on the show, rolls a 248 to best Steve Miner's 224. He went on to meet Kevin Hayes, and once again, Henderson equal to the task, this time rolling a 216 to better Kevin Hayes by 15 pins. So he gets a chance to take on the King for the third week running, Greg Lothian, and Lothian just too tough for Henderson, as Lothian rolls a 215 to become King for week number 6, his third time of the defense. Week number 7 of Hudepohl's TV King of Bowling brings us to the Hoosier State in Indiana. Hi everybody, I'm Tom Varrato, and today we're at Durbin Bowl in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, right across the river in Bo Hudepohl. About a dozen or so years ago, Durbin Bowl held quite a distinction that it hasn't relinquished so far.
That's correct. They have the distinction of having the highest scoring show ever.
And with the averages the way they are, I think we may see another one here.
We hope so. We have the talent today to do it.
We also have an average of about 216 pins per player per game. Dave Newrath, our first match pits the rookie against the veteran. Let's talk about the veteran, Bill Pollard.
That's right. Bill Pollard has been around for as many years as I can remember, and he's been steady and towards the top all of that time. His forte is accuracy.
And the kid he'll be playing against is 19-year-old Chris Trenkamp.
Chris is a young upstart. I tell you what, he throws as strong as ball as there is coming from the left-hand side. And he just twirls it up, cranks it up, and that's that wild youth for you. He's got pins flying all over the place. It's going to be a good match.
Kind of reminds you of an old Dave Newrath, or a young Dave Newrath.
Never.
Okay, so that's match 1. Down the road, they'll get a shot at the King for the third week running, Greg Lothian. And we'll have all of that from Durbin Bowl in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, when we come back for week 7 of Hudepohl's TV King.
Hudepohl, King of Bowling. Brought to you by the Hudepohl Brewing Company, America's great small brewery.
One of the great traditions of Cincinnati is the Hudepohl Brewing Company. The Hudepohl Brewery has been part of the Ohio Valley landscape for over a century. Today, Hudepohl is one of the few remaining small breweries in America. One of the last representatives of a proud tradition that was concerned with quality rather than volume, with character rather than mass appeal, with taste rather than formula, with a brewer rather than a chemist. Hude is part of the warmth and spirit of Cincinnati. It is Riverfest. It is sports. It is long summer days. It is spring, summer, fall, and winter. Hudepohl is the Cincinnati way of enjoying things. Hudepohl is fine beers, Christian Moorline, Hude Gold, Hude Delight, the better beers of Hudepohl from one of the last of this nation's fine hometown breweries. Hudepohl, America's great small brewery.
Just another testimonial for Grippo potato chips.
Fall League warm-up special, 3 games for $1 this weekend at participating BPA bowling centers.
Cincinnati style has followed us through 6 weeks of Hudepohl's TV King of Bowling, and it takes us into week number 7 in the Hoosier State of Indiana at Durbin Bowl in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Part of the crowd there you're seeing for week number 7. I am Tom Varrato along with Dave Newrath and Bo Hudepohl, and we're ready for some action. First match today will pit Bill Pollard, 54-year-old Bill Pollard from right up the road in Versailles against 19-year-old Chris Trenkamp. You're looking at the big southpaw, Mr. Pollard. And uncharacteristic of this year, Dave, we have started with less than a strike on the first ball of the day.
Well, let's set up the player, Tom. Bill Pollard has been around, like I told you in the opening, for a long, long time. He was a brilliant competitor when he was in the Air Force. He's been a very steady player down through the years here, and he has been very, very accurate. His forte is to hit his mark time after time again. Just missed it that time. He chopped the 1-3 off of the 6. But you'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, that his ball does not rotate. It does not turn, get the revolutions, whichever word you want to pick, that this gentleman is going to have.
Chris Trenkamp, 19 years old, from Independence, Kentucky, a desk clerk over at Cherokee Bowl, another southpaw. And he does get a lot of revolutions, Dave. Strike right down the middle.
Two completely different styles, and it's the contrasting styles here might reinforce the fact that anybody can bowl, anybody can score. You just take your God-given natural talent and get out there and do the best you can with it, and a lot of times it turns out right.
Trenkamp with a 210 average, which will fit in nicely with the averages on the BPA King. Second frame, the big left hand. Just misses the head pin, but gets a break and leaves the 7.
A completely errant shot. You know, on that particular ball, the big revolutions and power that is going to help him knock the pins down when he's in the 1-2 pocket created a little problem for him there. That dude almost got away from him.
A break on a Sunday morning. Trenkamp.
Not even close.
So, Bill Pollard gets a break. Interesting contrast we said in ages, but for Chris Trenkamp, he's never been on the TV King, which could be responsible for some of his nerves. But Dave, Bill Pollard, a veteran of the kingship.
He's
years back.
That's right. He's been there before. Back in 1971, Mergard's Northside, the classic matchup. And this is before our format is what it is we see today. Bill Pollard and Rudy Dukes went at it hammer and tong. At that time, Bill came out the winner, $500 at that time, and averaged close to that 200 mark. Third was our friend Mats De Felice. And Mats, it's good to have you back. We're having a little trouble with our spares this morning.
Dave, you want to take that up in the tips maybe either later today or down the road?
I don't think we're going to cover the 3-9, but we're going to cover a few of them. And we had some positive response on last week's tip, and we got a few more in the can for the people at home.
I think we're talking about targeting this week.
Okay. And that's something that's very important every time you throw the ball.
So,
coming up high. Whew.
You know, if the name Pollard sounds familiar, especially to the people in Indiana, it should. He's proprietor of Pollard's Bowl. He's got a whole family of bowlers in Rick and Ron. Rick, the former on the tour. Regina Pollard, who we saw earlier this year. And Bo, I think it's about our time to make a little bit of a correction. We mentioned yes. Regina was the first and only woman to qualify in the TV King, competing against men, as we see Father Joe pick up the spare. But this week we found out a little more information.
Yes, I did. Our records were not as complete as I had hoped they had been. And Alice Gilkey was actually the first lady to ever make the show on her own accomplishments. Now, this is when they compete against the men. The women did have their own show a couple years, and the girls did make the TV show, but this is when we're competing against the men. Alice did this in April of '70 at Mount Washington Lanes. She rode a 6:30 series to compete on the show, and she actually won 2 matches and lost the third one to Rob Kolbinski, so she made a good showing also.
As you see the score, Trenkamp picks up the strike after opening in the second and pulls the lead over Bill Pollard.
10 pins is the difference. Trenkamp with the advantage of the strike, Tom, and he could really make it tough on Bill if he could put one away here. But remember, this lane is the one where he went completely crossing across the head pin. Let's see if he makes an adjustment here. Look at that cocked wrist. Really tries to get the revolution on it. And
it almost looks painful. It almost looks painful, Dave.
Well, believe me, if you try it, you'll find out how painful it is.
You've always said, though, whatever feels comfortable, doesn't matter what it looks like in the mirror, so long as it feels comfortable and you can score with it.
That's exactly right, Tom. If you can duplicate it time and time again, then that's going to be the successful process to bowl with. There are some fundamentals that everyone should work on, like making your spare, but generally you work within your own capabilities.
So a spare in the 4th frame for Chris Trenkamp puts Bill Pollard at the line.
Bill Pollard doesn't waste a lot of time at the line. He knows what he wants to do and go up and hit his target. He's having a little trouble with that execution this morning. It's going high. He's leaving the 4-7 on this particular ball, Tom, and he's going to have to move extremely right to the right-hand side of the approach. Let his arm swing and his hand go at the 2 pins, flatten the ball out, and hopefully cover them both with the ball.
And that's exactly what he did. He takes out the 4-7. Pollard qualified last week with a 702 series. Put him right above Trenkamp's 695. The winner of this match will go on to meet a guy we haven't seen in a while, at least since the early part of last year, Mike Whalin. And then, of course, the king for the 3rd week running, and the man who's probably wallpapering his wall with all those plaques, Greg Lothian, Bo.
That's correct. And can we make one more correction while we're correcting?
Why not?
Greg is not married. The lady that we were looking at was actually his 13-year-old cousin.
Who gives all those women out there another chance.
That's right.
Does that mean he's available?
Speaking of other chances, 3, 9, 10 for Bill Pollard. This is a tricky one, Dave.
Very, very difficult. Quite a bit easier, as a matter of fact, for the left-hander. The right-handers leave it sometime, but Bill's optimum way to make this is to throw the ball just to the left of center on the 3-pin. Not like that. Just to the left of the center of the 3-pin. Let the ball carry through to take out the 9 and the 3-pin to go into the 10. So far, the spare shooting exhibition has not been quite what we had anticipated.
We should have put our tip on spares this week.
That's right.
Chris Trenkamp.
Look at that cock wrist, just extremely underneath the ball, all the way through, and then straps it for all it's worth.
We mentioned Trenkamp qualified with a 695. Just 2 pins behind him was Dale Halfley. And
That's right.
He was with us today?
Yes, Dale is here. He's our standby. We always have someone in the wings in the event that something would happen, and we do have a bowler standing by to go on the show if needed. And Dale Halfley is here today.
Chris Trenkamp wasn't about to let him come on because, hey, he said he can make spares like the 2-4-8. Takes it out with the spare in the 5th frame.
That standby position is a lonely position. You're able to sit there and think about that one shot that you messed up on that caused you to be sitting rather than throwing the ball.
8 years ago, Mr. Trenkamp took up bowling, and he certainly looks at that shot like he's close to getting it where he'd like it to be.
Well, not really, Tom. He completely errant again, but the ball crossed over so bad that it actually struck. It's a bad delivery, but a good break. You see it there, crossing over to the other side, tripping out the pin. Whatever way you knock them down is what counts.
Bill Pollard will take it. The road's been a little rocky for Mr. Pollard today with several open frames, but it's back on track with the strike there.
That was a good one. He almost smiled there.
Pollard bowling for some 23 years now. Took it up in Germany. I didn't even know 23 years ago they were bowling in Germany, but I guess it's a sport that's been around longer than television has, Dave.
Tom, 123 years ago they were bowling in Germany. It's quite a bit different than the game that we have today, of course, but this game of bowling is, I think, been around for as long as almost any game other than soccer.
Goes back to the Egyptians when the pharaohs. Yes, the pharaohs had their own bowling lanes, and at one time I think it was even related to a religious belief. If you knocked all the pins down, you were holy.
Well, that'd be all right.
Do you think they had a king back then? I don't know.
They had several.
They had several, right? They called them pharaohs, right? So another open for Bill Pollard, not having his routinely good day here today, and Chris Trenkamp has a chance to really put the hammer down.
Right now he's well in the lead with a strike working. One more here with all but salted away.
I think he heard you, Dave.
And that
The finest shot of the day for Chris Trenkamp.
phenomenal. There we're going to see the power, the striking action. that you get with the revolutions. Now watch it here. Keep your eye in the center of the screen. The head pin and then the one directly behind it. The head pin going to the right of your screen, the ball carrying through with the 5. The head pin coming back, looking for someone else to knock down. Not going to happen. They're all gone.
8th frame, Chris Trenkamp. Dave, Trenkamp lists fishing. So does Mr. Pollard. As you see Trenkamp with the triple. He lists fishing as one of his hobbies, and should Mr. Trenkamp go on to a 300 game today, what will he win, Jay Stewart?
Yes, and he will win for his perfect game on King of Bowling. A beautiful boat.
Beautiful
I tell
boat.
you what, if we give this away, I hope I get an invite anyway out of somebody. Bill can strike out and kind of hold his head up high and walk away with a little respect, but for all intents and purposes, this match is over. Bill Pollard would have to take it to the wall for 180 right now. His opponent is on a 2:05 pace.
Bo, while we have a chance, obviously this match is over as Pollard is going to go out in style, but they're qualifying today over at LaRue Lanes in Highland Heights, Kentucky.
That's correct. We are qualifying at LaRue. And our leaderboard right now, Jim Beckler is on the top. Rolled a 300 game yesterday in 747 series. Bill Heflin, we haven't seen for a while, 720, and Mike Whalin is on the board with a 707. 626 is cashing, and we have a new lady on the leaderboard, Linda Kling, with a 670 series. We're real proud to see that.
It's always nice to see that as Trenkamp brings it.
Tommy, don't go away, buddy. There's only one thing that could happen right here. With that bad count on a string, Mr. Trenkamp's put himself in an awkward position. If he opens up in the 9th and 10th frames, Bill Pollard can strike out in the 10th frame to win. A remote possibility, but with the help on the bad count, he has made it a possibility.
And we've seen it all, not only this year, but in past years on the TV King.
They come from behind, the bobbled ball at the goal line. Call it anything you want, but it is possible. Bruce Trenkamp needs a mark.
Well, last year the King was determined through an error, and nobody really knew who won it. It was like the audience and everybody was so silent we couldn't believe it.
Trenkamp at 19, making his first appearance on TV in Hudepohl's TV King of Bowling, and a pin touched the 7, but not hard enough, Dave.
Tom, phenomenal shot. He knows he needed a spare, so what's he do? He throws a good shot, he trusts the ball, he swings it out right here. Watch the ball coming back. It's going to create a little wide, but the head pin going to the wall is going to do most of the damage, and that's the 6 pin starting to roll across to catch it. But remember, he flagged the 7 pin by almost a foot in the front part of our game.
And does it again.
You hear the crowd in the background. They know what the score is.
I'm sure in his time, Bill Pollard has been in this situation before. Chris Trenkamp, the chance to put it away.
What a come from behind this would be. Bill Pollard, with the first 2 strikes in the 10th frame, will be the winner of our first match. Got to have this one.
Well,
not really to be today, but he took a shot at it and almost got a break with the 1 pin coming out of the channel. Bill Pollard knows that this day is over, but let's take a look at the shot. He trusted it. He's running it out. Now, see the 4 pin going there? If it would have leaned about a half an inch more to the right, he would have carried it.
Picks up the 7 pin spare, something that Chris Trenkamp better work on in his next match with Mike Whalin after missing 2 7 pin spares.
Well, you always try to find good in what happened. He didn't miss it by as much in the 10th frame.
Isn't the 10 pin difficult for a left-hander to make because of the revolutions and the way they really turn the ball? They seem to have more turn on the ball than right-handers most of the time.
Well, there's something.
The 7 pin.
So with that ball, this game is history. And Chris Trenkamp, the winner in game number 1 over Bill Pollard, 173 to 159. When we come back, Trenkamp takes on Mike Whalin in game number 2 of Hudepohl's King of TV Bowling.
This small drop of liquid is a dedicated brewmaster's work of art. It reflects a fine, select beer brewed with the care, patience, and pride only a small brewery can provide. Longer brewing time and dedication to excellence mean Christian Moorline may cost a little more, but the price is small for the unique experience of Christian Moorline. Christian Moorline, quite simply, a better beer.
Fall League warm-up special, 3 games for $1 this weekend at participating BPA bowling centers.
How do I show what makes Hudi Delight one of the best light beers in America? That's a tough one. I wish I could show all the care that goes into the brewing. How Delight is specially crafted. A whole lot less calories. Kept its own unique beer taste. Taste, boy, I could do with the Delight right now. Refreshing, sparkling delight. Here it comes. To the pure delight of Hudi Delight.
The great light beer from America's great small brewery.
Only 1 week so far in this year has seen a total dominance by any one person. That was Kingpin Lanes. When we had a woman on the show this week, Nancy, you were first and second. 649 was your high total. You've been cashing every week. That's great. What do you attribute it to?
Well, I've been just trying to get practice a little bit and get ready for the U.S. Open in April. And
well, you got that spot by winning the city match games. You've been bowling great.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, that's super. On behalf of the BPA, $200 check and a plaque for your wall. I'm sure you've got a few of those. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nancy Fair, the wife of PBA bowler Steve Fair. I'm Tom Varrato along with Dave Newrath and Bo Hudepohl. Game number 2, you're seeing Mike Whalin. This is week 7 of Hudepohl's TV King of Bowling. From Durbin Bowl in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, the big lefty cranks up 9 pins.
You want to see power? You're going to see power. In Mr. Trenkamp, we have a lot of youthful power, some of it unbridled or uncontrolled. With Mike Whalin, you're going to see power personified and most of it under control most of the time.
Raw power. Let's see if he could pick up that 7-pin spare. Right there. Speaking of power, Bo, we saw a Cincinnati native yesterday on the PBA, the True Value Open, John Gant.
That's
He's
correct.
beaten in the semifinals, but he gets quite a few revs on that ball going down the lane.
I'll tell you, he bowled on the King a lot of years, and it took him a long time to win finally the championship, the King Championship. And we would take and tape the show and try to count the revolutions on his ball, slowing our tape down into slow motion, and it was unbelievable. I don't really remember what the number was, but you could not believe the way that man turned the ball.
He cranks it. Speaking of cranking, or lack thereof, Dave, Chris Trenkamp leaves himself with a rather unmakeable spare.
The 4-6-10, not unmakeable, but extremely difficult. Anytime you have 2 pins that are parallel to one another and on opposite sides of the deck, you got a problem. And the 4-6 is one of them, and any combination thereof, because it's extremely difficult with the momentum of the ball going down the lane and hitting an object for that object not to carry some of that momentum back, which would take it into the pit. You just have to let it flop right over and fall into something.
Oh boy, that is a break on top of a break.
He liked it. He was pretty pleased about the whole thing. Let's take a look at it here. You want to see a break? The ball's going to crash right through the headpin, right there, dead through the middle of the pocket. Now what happens? We got pins flying around, rolling around, just kind of knocking stuff over.
Just another day at the office, right?
That's the way it goes.
Mike Whalin, second frame, off a spare.
Eased up on that ball just a bit. The power that we see Mike Whalin throw is normally not only through his wrist to create the revolutions, but also to get the ball down the lane. That ball there, he just kind of eased up a little bit, threw the ball a little slower, therefore it hooked a little more.
33-year-old Mike Whalin, traffic controller over at Christ Hospital. As he takes out his spare. Bo, we're paying another visit here to Durbin Bowl. We were here last year, and every time we come, we're always greeted by tremendous people and tremendous lanes.
Well, we have new owners this year, actually. Bruce Rabel and Al Meininger are the new owners, and they are really promoting and making a lot of changes down here. If you come down and see it, you'll be really amazed at the things they've done to the place.
Mike Whalin, third frame. Pair of spares for Mr. Whalin.
I'll tell you what, Tommy.
Big crank.
Wait, let's take a look at this one. You want to talk about hanging one over the edge? You're going to see it. Look at it. Right there on the second board, almost 58 feet down the lane. Then it comes hooking back so sharply. The ball going straight through the pins. That's what you do. That's the way you do it. 10 pins in the pit. Power personified. Chris Trenkamp's got his work cut out for him.
Hit it high. Talk about emotionless. Mike Whalin doesn't show any type of emotion on the lane.
Not on the lane, Tom, but I'll tell you what, and we brought this up, I believe, in show number 3. Emotion is within any successful player. Some people can control it, some people cannot. Michael has worked as hard as any human being in this city to control that emotion. Believe me, I've seen him when he didn't, and you wouldn't want to see it.
He's a big boy. He is a very big boy.
And my hat's off to him. He has controlled that temperament. He has worked on his game. He is a self-made player. You're not looking at a lot of raw, natural talent. You've looked at a guy that's worked on it, honed it, and he's done that by throwing thousands of practice games in a lot of tournaments, too.
6 leagues for Mike Whalin. A strike for Chris Trenkamp. Trenkamp's got to build some type of consistency here, Dave, because it's just been very erratic in his first appearance.
Exactly. You see him here, too, on the left lane, again, going with that extreme outside line, the head pin right there, going to the wall and coming out top lane 6 and the 3 into the 9 and the 10. Not what you want to take to the bank, but not too bad either.
Mike Whalin in the 4th frame, off a strike. Boy, I was just going to say, he brings that so close to the channel, Dave.
Well, he went with the extreme outside line on 7, okay, and it worked, Tommy. On the right-hand lane, he was doing it, and there you see, if you're going to throw one in the ditch, you might as well do it on a strike because you really don't lose any pin count. Now, if he comes back, ladies and gentlemen, there is no pin count involved at this point. Since a strike is 10 plus your next 2 balls, should he strike here, it would be just like having a spare.
Picks up 7. And so Mike Whalin recovers nicely here. After a lot of bowlers might have folded on that first ball into the channel. Well, not a lot of bowlers, but I speak from my own experience.
If you're playing that extreme outside line, believe it or not, you're going to throw one in sooner or later because you keep flirting with, how wide can I really get this ball? Michael got it a little too wide, but it's not going to bother him this frame.
The natural reaction to throwing one in the gutter is to pull the ball in the next shot, too. I think that's something what Mike did, and that's why the ball crossed over.
You can pick it up, Tom. You can pick it up in your own game, too, folks at home. If you throw one ball high, go back and take a review of your game. In all probability, the next ball is going to be a little wide. And the next ball after that might be a strike, but again, might be high. The human body makes corrections. Your mind is trying to control all that. That's where the better bowler has the advantage, is a good spare.
So we're midway through game number 2, the Mike Whalin Chris Trenkamp match. We're going to go away for a little while and let our sponsors identify themselves, but when we come back, we have quite a lot of bowling left.
Cincinnati has always had a reputation for brewing great beers, and part of this continuing tradition is Hudepohl, brewed by Hudepohl, America's great small brewery. Hudepohl is a pure, natural, traditional beer made to the high standards that Cincinnati beer drinkers have demanded for decades. A special gold standard set by Cincinnati for Cincinnati. Try the best quality beer in its class, and remember, nothing is as good as gold. Hudepohl.
This fine select beer is Christian Moorline. It is made with a quite remarkable skill, a result of years of experience, exceptional ingredients, and above all, the care, patience, and pride only a small brewery can provide. These traditional virtues mean you may pay a little more, but the price is small for the unique experience of Christian Moorline. Christian Moorline. Quite simply, a better beer.
Yes, it's a It's a paddle boat, and the sounds complimentary of Dave Newrath. Chris Trenkamp. Obviously affected by the paddle boat sounds of Dave Newrath. Well, we've had quite an average by the bowlers this year on the King, but I don't know how much they're going to be kept up today.
Normally, 6 games will not affect it drastically because we have got 36 games under our belt, but 216 is the average. We really stayed even after last week.
And a 269 game was our highest from Daryl Higgins.
That's correct.
And I don't know, unless in the championship, we're going to see.
Right there, look at it on the first board, and it's still holding on. I hate to interrupt, but that's where the bowlers are really getting the maximum area right now. Let's see if he can regroup on the left lane, which he's been having a little trouble on. Hit that second board. Nope, pulled it. See, if he gets the ball out to about the second board, it's going to be in the pocket. That ball hit about the 5th board. Goes back to the uncontrolled power we talked about. And Bo, you've been around the game for as long as I have, and you know at 19 years of age, it's tough to control that, especially on television.
Well, you know, he has made so many moves anyway. He misses it. He only started bowling 8 years ago, but he bowls 110 practice games a week. That is what contributes to the boy being where he is right now, competitively.
That's right, but again, first time on the show, the lights are definitely going to play a part because a lot of it's muscle memory. This game is conditioning, muscle memory, and all those bright lights shining right in your face have a tendency to make your muscles forget what they're supposed to do.
But not let the pins forget what they're supposed to do, and Mike Whalin got them to do everything he needed.
Let's take a look at it here. You want to see the pin action we're talking about? Look at that ball revving up on the back end now. Head pin, center of your screen, going to go to the right, come off, hit into the 6 pin. The 6 pin rolls into the 5 pin into the 7. Dominoes. That's the way it's played.
Mike Whalin in the 7th frame. Dave, do you make any other kind of noises besides the river boats?
All kinds.
All kinds. All right. Oh, how about the sound of 10 pins in the pit, Dave?
I haven't made that sound nearly enough. We're going to try getting, we're at our halfway point through our season this year, and I've had one close encounter with the show, but we're going over to Charlie Golfus's this afternoon, LaRue Lanes, and I made the show there once when I was a youngster, and we're going to see if we can do it again.
Let's hope we can rekindle that.
Right, Tom, don't take this the wrong way. I'm having a lot of fun with you back here, but I'd really rather be out there. Watch this ball. You want to see the perfect strike? This is it. Very little deflection. 5 pin and the head pin right there, teaming up on the 10. No way it's not going to stand up. Every pin doing its job.
Chris Trenkamp. He's having trouble putting 2 back-to-back.
Exactly. The lanes, I don't believe in this particular situation are the problem. I believe youth, the strength, everything that got him here is working against him right now. He does not have the tournament expertise. He needs to compete on a solid level, Tom, but that's only a small period of time away. Believe me, this guy has got a lot of talent. Chris Trenkamp, as you can see right there, is making a decent showing for himself. Mike Whalin, with a double working, can really put the hammer down.
8th frame for Whalin. Boy, he flirted with disaster one more time. You said he could put the hammer down. I think he's giving it right back to Chris Trenkamp.
Exactly. I've never seen Mike not take advantage of a situation like this. Leaving the 3, 7, 9. Extremely difficult. You almost have to have some help out of the pit on this one. Bring a pin out.
Takes out the 3, 7, 9 stand, and we've got a ball game once again.
Both players saying, here, you take it, I don't want it, Tom. It's not very typical of our match play competition. But right now, we have a 1-pin advantage going to Mr. Trenkamp if he strikes in the 9th frame. Mike Whalen's job is to get something working right here.
Bang. He heard you, Dave.
Well, Mike's been around this game for a lot of years. He knows the critical frames. He knows the critical times to throw a good shot. He threw it right there. Right, you see it on the second board, coming in sharply. No deflection. The last pin down is the 8. 10 pins in the pit. That man right there knows he needed that strike to put the pressure on Chris Trenkamp.
And Trenkamp responds nicely. Solid strike. Solid strike. Trenkamp's problem, if there is one in this game number 2, is that he's been unable to develop any type of consistent pattern on the strike level.
Chris has a 1-pin advantage going into the 10th frame. Quite frankly, very simply put, if he throws 3 more, he wins. Mike Whalin can do nothing. But this left lane has been his Achilles heel all day long. Let's see if he can strike.
Almost. Mr. Trenkamp, the 19-year-old from Independence, Kentucky. 8 pin stands.
I'll tell you, Tom, this is great. We may have our first tie of the season here.
I was just thinking that.
It's very possible. Let's set it up. There you see it. If Chris Trenkamp spares and 9 out, Mike Whalin could go spare and strike to tie. All sorts of possibilities. Pin count is extremely important to Chris Trenkamp right now. Throws 10 in the pit. It's going to force Mike Whalin to get the first strike.
Let's see how he responds. I want to remind you, Chris Trenkamp has never been on the TV King before. He's been qualifying or trying to qualify for 2 years. And today, against Mike Whalin, he's just not getting breaks, Dave.
Well, he's a little uncontrolled power. He's gotten his share of good breaks and bad along the way, and they say they always even out. The situation is this: with the first strike in the 10th frame, Mike Whalin will win. If he does not, he can spare and strike to win by 1 pin.
I think Mike Whalin knows what he has to do.
You betcha.
Although,
big shot right here, Tom.
He'll never let us know it.
Not by the look on his face. He is really confused. He made a ball change, looking for a ball that would create perhaps a little bit more area, leaving the difficult 3-6-9. Now he has, believe me, he has to cover this to have any sort of a chance. And to do that, you've got to cover the 3 and the 9 with the ball, just like that.
There it is. 3-6-9 spare for Mike Whalin. Dave, why don't you set up a situation what Mr. Whalin is going to have to do right now?
Well, it's very simple. That man, as you're looking at the score sheet, you can see with a strike in the fill ball is 175. He will win by a pin. 9 is a tie. 8, see you later.
Greg Lothian waits in the balance. The king for the last 3 weeks will play the winner. Either Mike Whalin or Chris Trenkamp, decided on this ball right here. How about Mr. Chris Trenkamp as he breathes a big sigh of relief?
The party is over.
The party is over for Mike Whalin as Chris Trenkamp, shooting a 174, beats Whalin by 2 pins and will go into the championship match with Greg Lothian. And all of that will be coming your way right after this.
It is the season for Ludwig Hudepohl Bock beer. Every spring, the resources of America's great small brewery are devoted to Ludwig Hudepohl, a true Bock beer. Rich, smooth, dark. Made from deep-roasted barley, matured without haste. It appears all too briefly, and then it is gone. Try it while you can. Ludwig Hudepohl Bock beer.
The better beers of Hudepohl, Hudepohl.
Just one more testimonial for Grippo potato chips.
Fall League warm-up special, 3 games for $1 this weekend at participating BPA bowling centers.
How do I show what makes Hudy Delight one of the best light beers in America? That's a tough one. I wish I could show all the care that goes into the brewing. How Delight is specially crafted. A whole lot less calories. Kept its own unique beer taste. Taste, boy, I could do with the Delight right now. Refreshing, sparkling delight. Here it comes. Ah, to the pure delight of Hudy Delight.
The great light beer from America's great small brewery.
What?
A very, very colorful day, colorful show in Durbin Bowl in Lawrenceburg. Are they the Blues Brothers personified? Who knows?
I don't know, but wherever they got their shirts, I hope they got their change.
We could color balance the camera on that. Championship match, Chris Trenkamp. Oh boy, I guess he was is riding the roller coaster of good luck, bad luck all day. He's won the first 2 games, and now against the king, Greg Lothian, he leaves the 7-10. He leaves.
How about the 4-7-10?
4-7-10.
Just a 7-10 with a kicker. It's the only thing that helps you out a little bit. The 4-pin is technically in front of the 7. Plus, it's also one more pin to maybe rattle around and back and come out. There you hear Greg Lothian's following. He's got his fair share of people here.
The Lothian Legion. Greg Lothian, the king for the last 3 weeks, trying to do something that, boy, we haven't had in a long time. Win the kingship 4 straight weeks. King Kim Herman did it for the first 3 weeks this year. Was knocked off by Lothian, and Lothian, who was having some trouble throwing some practice balls, Dave, has found the mark on the first ball.
Does the guy answer the call? You can bet on it. Greg Lothian was lost in practice. He needed a triptych to find the pocket. But what's he do? Lights come on, cameras come up, throws a perfect strike. Now, to set up the match, he told me in between breaks that the right-hand lane is hooking noticeably more than the left-hand lane. We'll see if we can pick that up and see how he plays them differently.
The emerald green ball of Greg Lothian puts 2 10 pins in the pit.
I mean to tell you, let's take a look at it here. What's he do? He's lost, hadn't thrown a shot in practice. Look at this ball. Perfect. 1-3, no deflection, 10 pins in the pit. Greg Lothian came to play.
Trenkamp with an open frame. And boy, it doesn't get any better. He throws his hands up and says, what do I have to do to knock the pins down? Trenkamp with the 4-6.
Going high again, Tom, right straight through the heart of the pins. Instead of the 10 pin and the 7 this time, we've moved it up, made it a little smaller, but it's still virtually impossible. The 4-6.
Back-to-back open frames. And Bo, you know, we mentioned that we're for the first time this year over in the Hoosier State, Lawrenceburg. They really appreciate their bowling over here in Indiana.
They sure do. The mayor has proclaimed Bowlers Week, week through March 15th, and of course, in conjunction with that, we're going to have the Shailene All-Stars will be here, the old Shailene All-Stars. I'm not going to say old people. This is the team, and the Hudepohl Lady All-Stars, which Alice Gilkey is a member of, and Eddie Jackson, I think, is the captain of the All-Star, the men's.
Total frustration. He's lost. The few good breaks he got in the first 2 games against the other left-handers, not quite coming to bear this time. There you see it, what we call the war shout, the 1, the 3, the 6, the 7. This is made by throwing the ball just to the right of the center of the head pin, throwing the head pin into the 7, and carrying through, but that hit it a little too heavy.
You know, you don't want to count any bowler out of any game too early, but if Greg Lothian throws any more balls the way he did his first 2, the party could be over before we're halfway through this match.
That's right. And there's a lot of paper, 10 frames. Anybody can make a lot of mistakes, but we've seen week after week Greg Lothian answer the call. He's got a ball that he hasn't thrown in a long time out there. What a shot. What a fantastic shot.
He seems to be the only bowler today to be able to string a couple strikes together, Dave.
Let's take a look at this. You want to see power again. Everybody, keep your eyes on the head pin. Center your screen. You want to see it? Look at it go to the left. Right there. Come off the wall. It's going to make a trip across. You see it? That's the scout. Can't find anything to knock down. Greg Lothian, perfect so far.
He wants that 4th straight king title, king check, and king plaque. All from the BPA. How about 10-pin stands. He just didn't get a break on that one, Dave.
No, I'll tell you what. Maybe we can catch it here on the replay, Tom, if we can. The ball deflected. Remember, we're always talking about deflection. No deflection's good. A lot of deflection is bad. Watch the ball jump to the right of your screen. You see it right there? Takes the 3-pin straight back, gets a bad angle on the 6. The 6 falls into the channel. Cross lane for a spare.
10-pin is taken down. So, at least at this point, it looks like Lothian may defend his title for the 4th time. We'll be over in LaRue Lanes next week, but already thinking about qualifying 2 weeks down the road, Bo.
Qualifying is next Saturday and Sunday. Our TV shows are always a week later than the qualifier, so our TV show next week will be at LaRue Lanes, and our qualifier at Stumps Lanes, where Mike McDonald, who is here today, is the proprietor. And I think they have a house squad. If anybody wants to bowl in that house squad at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, he is going to have some bowlers from his bowling center competing.
Be good to stop over. We haven't been at Stumps for a couple years, so it'll be nice to be over there. We just saw Chris Trenkamp pick up a strike, his first of the championship game here after 3 open frames. And Trenkamp, well, Dave, if he's going to do it, he's got to do it right now.
He's currently 53 pins in the red. With a strike here, he could cut it to 43.
He did it. It's a big deficit, but he's going to try to close it. You have to start somewhere. Lothian's got the numbers, and he's got the crowd behind him. Looking to meet 4-time king here in the BPA. 22-year-old Greg Lothian. A very young match today between the 22-year-old Lothian and the 19-year-old Trenkamp. Seeing Cincinnati bowling in the future, Dave.
There you see it. Chris Trenkamp is 43 pins down. Greg Lothian, if he marks out the rest of the match, should be all right. But what have we seen all day today? Bowlers leaving difficult spares. Anytime you leave more than 1 pin up there, you have a possibility of a chop or a misadjustment on the lane. He left a 3, 6, 9, 10. The right-hander's version, you have to play like the pocket. Use the 3-6 area, let the ball hook through, carry the 9 pin out, let the 6 go into the 10. Let's see if he can do it. Look out.
He got the breaks. He hooked it around off the wall. And the Blues Brothers show their vocal support for Mr. Lothian.
Those guys look like they've been out all week, not just all night.
While we have the chance to mention it, Lothian really is competing against score right now, but the high score this year has been a 269 back on week number 2, Bo, by Daryl Higgins. And the high score, when it's all said and done after this year is over, we'll get from one of our sponsors a nice gift.
Yes, they will. 7-Up has offered a television. It is a black and white TV, by the way, for the winner of the high game this year, whether it be a 300 or whatever. Of course, we have the 300 award for a boat, and so I've also covered a high game if one is not rolled.
Well, 2, 5, 8 for Greg Lothian. And there it is. Boy, he's been perfect and near perfect all game long as he's got a commanding lead over Chris Trenkamp right now.
What we've seen so far, Tommy, this is the longest run of unopened. There you see it, Greg Lothian perfectly filling the frames through 6, not with strikes, but today with marks. And believe you me, sometimes spares are going to win you a lot of money.
They've won Greg a lot this year. Oh boy. Boy, Trenkamp, you know, has to wonder if it was worth getting out of bed. Granted, he did win his first 2 games. First game, a 173-159 win over Bill Pollard. Second game, 174-172 over Mike Whalin, in which Whalin controlled his own destiny on the last ball of the match. And now a 4-6. It would have been a moral victory had he made the 4-6.
Well, you've got 2 youths being served. They're our championship match, all right. But Greg Lothian, hard though it may seem to believe, is 22 years old, the veteran on the pair right now. And Greg has bowled in a lot of tournaments. He's a product of the junior organization, a traveling league. He was an excellent competitor all the way through there. And we're just seeing some of that experience pay off now.
Dave, you talked about youth. Durbin has a way of I guess, honoring their youth, Bo.
Well, what's happening is, during this special event with the all-star teams coming back and bowling the exhibition matches and also the clinics that they're going to put on, they have a youth roundup where the kids can come in and bowl for free, and they can get some lessons on the spot from these all-stars, and also the adults are going to have clinics.
Can't beat experience to teach the younger bowlers of America.
Look at this. I wish we better put somebody on the door next week. We've got some shady-looking characters coming in here.
They're all a part of the Legion.
No, those are our proprietors, David. They're not shady. They're nice people.
Oh. No, I wasn't talking about Bruce. I was talking about the people behind it.
Oh, the camera shot, though, was right on the proprietors.
Greg Lothian going high on the right lane. Remember, when we set up the match initially, we said that he has indicated that the right-hand lane was hooking a lot more than the left-hand lane. That's come to pass on the last two shots. He went right through the head pin in the fifth frame, leaving the very difficult 3, 6, 9, 10. This time, taking out the 6 and the 9, but the 3, 10. Baby split, going to try to deflect the ball off the 3 into the 10 pin.
How about that?
That's textbook.
He's filled all 7 frames. 3 with strikes, 4 with spares. And Greg Lothian looks like he's going to get the king.
Let's take a look at this. You want to see the ideal way to make it? You're going to watch it right here. The ball's going to just hit to the right of that first pin, right there, careen into the 10. Greg, there's no reaction there. Heck, you're supposed to make that one.
He's textbook today.
Match game competition. The score does not matter. It's who wins the match.
I guess when the brakes are rolling your way, you tend to see pins fall like that. Some of the fine crowd here today. In that crowd, you see some of our sponsors, Bo.
Yes, Mr. Burdick, Phil Burdick from the Hudepohl Brewing Company is here today, and Bob Milan, who is the owner of the Gold Heart Distributing Company here in Lawrenceburg. They distribute the Hudepohl products. And we want to welcome 7-Up as one of our sponsors. They start officially today, and we are welcoming them on the show.
Certainly happy to have them. And, of course, they'll be responsible for giving that black and white TV to the owner of the highest game after it's all said and done after week 12. Hard to believe, Bo, we're already into week 7.
Time just flies during the King, and it usually makes our winters go very fast because the bowlers really look forward to competing every week on Saturday and Sunday when it's snowing or cold or whatever.
Tell you what, they'll take weather like we're having today, and it's projected the next couple days, 50s and 60s. Dave, why don't you just read it out and give us the bad news for Chris Trenkamp?
The potential is this. As you can see it, if Chris fills the frame and strikes it out, he can shoot a 180. Greg Lothian can open in the 9th and 10th frame and still shoot 180, or better than 180. Now with that open, what it's done is just made it virtually impossible for him to win the championship match.
Lothian went on to bury Trenkamp by 56 pins and retain his title as king for a 4th straight week. The score, 194 to 138. So when we come back to week number 7 here at Durbin Lanes in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, we'll present the checks to the bowlers.
Seit mehr als 400 Jahren wird in Deutschland der Standard für die höchste Bierqualität festgesetzt. Dieses Bierstandardgesetz nennt man Reinheitsgebot. Viele berühmte Biere haben das nie erreicht. Ein amerikanisches Bier hat es jetzt geschafft. Das Bier heißt Christian Mörlein aus Cincinnati, Ohio. Christian Mörlein ist ein Bier von Weltruf. Prost, Christian Mörlein.
Fall League Warm-Up Special, 3 games for $1 this weekend at participating BPA bowling centers.
Week 7 of Hudepohl's TV King of Bowling is now history. Gentlemen, congratulations. Fine bowling today, and for the 4th straight week, and the first time in a long time, we have a 4-time king. Greg Lothian, $750, a check, and come back next week.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And next week, we will be in LaRue Lanes in Highland Heights, Kentucky for week 8 of TV's Hudepohl's King of Bowling. So until then, I'm Tom Varrato for both Hudepohl and Dave Newrath saying so long and see you next week.
Hudepohl, King of Bowling. Brought to you by the Hudepohl Brewing Company, America's great small brewery.